Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I've just been on another hike in the woods, which was really nice, just to clear my head a little bit and to get some exercise because I am so unfit due to not being going out like much over the past year. So I've been thinking a lot about why people who are neurodivergent, so people with ADHD, OCD, autism, all kinds of neurological disorders, and even things like anxiety and depression, why a lot of us feel like outcasts in the world, and why a lot of us don't feel that we are going to be or happy or okay with the way things are set up for us. And I mean, this can also apply to like people who feel like their rights are, people who feel oppressed or feel that their rights are just taken away, and they can't live the life that they truly desire, and it almost feels like someone's just standing on your head, is the way I can put it, in that you've just been so screwed over in your life. And I think a lot of people can relate to this feeling, and it comes to a point where we either have to just come to a place of acceptance of this is just the way things are, or a place where we can try and change things, even if it feels very beyond our control. I have I'll tell you about them in a minute, but last night I was upset and talking to my partner about how I just see all these problems in the world, and if I have this mindset of seeing all the problems in the world, because to me, I see things for what they are. It's what I feel anyway. I feel like I see things for what they are. Whereas you have so many people who really benefit from the way society is set up and run, and really, people who are seen as like the outcasts in the world are almost like we're a threat to the way things are. And I just feel, I have this issue where, and I call it an issue, but it's not really an issue, but I see things, and I can be quite cynical and skeptical as a person in general, whereas I see other people around me just accepting things, praising things, like praising the government, feeling really grateful for the way things are because they're really benefiting them as a person, and they're not seeing how it's not benefiting all of us as a person, and it can be quite upsetting. Like somebody very close to me, actually, I know they don't watch my channel, but somebody very close to me who biologically is close to me is really benefiting from the system, who hasn't worked a lot in their life, who has a partner, a husband, basically, who provides for them, and they don't even work anymore. They're retired early, they don't work anymore, and they went from being a single parent, you can probably tell who I'm talking about, but they went from being a single parent, really struggling on benefits, hardly having any money. Like, we were so poor when we were growing up. My dad basically, trying to succeed out in the world by himself, but having to pay off debts of this other person as well. And I just, I've seen someone go from being in such a poor well-being state where we can't afford things, to really succeeding off the system. Somebody who would vote a certain way, now completely turning around and voting for something else for what would benefit them in their lives, and they live in ignorant bliss basically. And I can't do that. I can't live like that, because I still feel like I am that outcast who was a child who grew up on a council estate with divorced parents, hardly had any money, and for lots of other reasons struggled, especially mentally, you know, trying to succeed in a world that was created for people who didn't have ADHD, and who didn't see the world in this way, basically, and people who just accept things the way they are. And it's not that I wasn't intelligent at school, it was that I was trying so hard to not be that person who, you know, I would let myself out a little bit as a child, and I would say things sometimes and get told off at school for saying things more impulsively. So I'd really like suppress myself so much. And I see this now, like how that has just like completely controlled my entire life. And, you know, I see like people like at school really listening, concentrating, nodding along and all this, and here's me doing this as well, like yeah, when my head is somewhere else and I can't concentrate on everything all the time, and I have to, I don't know, I was lucky. Like, nobody gets given, everybody has gifts and everything, but people don't choose what those gifts are, is what I'm trying to say. People don't choose whether they're going to be intelligent or more emotionally intelligent, or, you know, they're really good at debating, or whatever their gifts are, whatever they're really good at. We're not choosing those things in our lives. Like, they're just given to us as we're born and raised. And I feel like I'm quite an intelligent person. I don't want to say like I'm bragging or anything, because in so many ways I'm like, I have felt inferior to people, but yeah, at the same time, I'm like, even though I feel like I'm an intelligent person, and that, you know, I've always done well on things like IQ tests, and I got into grammar school and, oh my gosh, stuff like that. I feel like school, the way the school system was run, wasn't for me, you know, it was for the people who benefit the most for that. Like, education is never, and the way authority is used at school, like, I remember being so embarrassed and humiliated so many times by teachers at primary school that I just stopped talking in class, and then I got told off for not talking in class anymore, and lots of things just didn't make sense to me, basically. And I just felt like school made me feel like I wasn't smart, even though I know that I am smart. So it really did a lot to damage my self-esteem. And it's not just school, you know, like so many things in life that just made me feel like I basically am a lower class citizen. I'm not equal to people, I'm less than equal to people. And just so many ways that I feel like I've just been so screwed over in life. You know, not knowing I had ADHD, being diagnosed at a later date, having a ton of health problems, and every time going to the doctors and wanting to treat the separate little symptoms, when really it was a whole thing that was going on within me. And I still don't have all the answers to that. And, you know, I want to mention my friend, he's called Mark. It's a bit chilly now. He's called Mark, and he, basically, he is autistic, he has ADHD, late diagnosed, he's had cancer, and is dealing with so many health conditions, and he lives in America, and there I see this system is even more corrupt than in the UK, but that's by and by, because he is somebody who I care for and is just really struggling basically with the doctors, and he's basically paying to see doctors and telling them what he wants, and basically doing his own research, as a lot of people have done online. Like, they've gone to the doctors rather than trying to assess people for ADHD and autism and OCD and all these other kinds of things. They're just saying, oh, you just have anxiety, you just have depression, you should take this medication, rather than getting to like the root of the issues. And you know, I was quite lucky to have a really good doctor. Like I really, yeah, I think I had a really good doctor, and I was one of the lucky ones. And I did pay for him because he was private. But in the US, I just hear him tell me about all these problems that again he's having to sort out himself, tell the doctors, basically paying to do the doctor's job himself, but he obviously just can't prescribe himself medication. He needs that doctor to do that. He can't, you know, like I just think like a good doctor would be like, okay, I know you've got autism or ADHD, and I know these other things could be comorbidities, so maybe we should just explore that a little bit and things like that. But why are people having to figure these things out themselves later in their life? You know, when we're younger, we're definitely more naive, and we are sort of shown that we should talk to our doctor about everything. We shouldn't do anything without talking to our doctor. And I'm not trying to give bad advice, like don't go to your doctor, please go to your doctor. But what I'm trying to say is that, you know, you know yourself, and you know your body, and you know your mind. And if you're struggling with something and you feel like you're suffering a lot and doctors aren't listening to you, you have to do your own research, because you see no other way around it. You just, I don't know, it's disgusting that, you know, people are paying doctors and they're not even doing the job they're supposed to be doing. And, you know, I'm sick of hearing stories like this. Like, this person isn't the only person who I've heard stories like this from. It's very common. And it, you know, it goes alongside sort of going to the doctor, explaining you're having difficulties with anxiety. And maybe you have all your life, but they're suddenly like a lot worse. And they then just think, oh, that's anxiety, when it could be something like ADHD. And the difficulties growing up and living with ADHD, feeling like you're you're different to everybody else, but not really knowing why. And not just those feelings, because I mean, I guess those feelings can lead to loneliness, isolation, and depression. And I think a lot of the mental health conditions that we are dealing with come as a result of the system we live in, and how we are treated as people, and how our choices and what we desire and want in life, it's just, if it doesn't align with what the I don't want to say collective wants, but what the system, shall we say, wants for us, and if we don't align with them, then we can be punished for that, in ways that, not just through money and lifestyle, but in our mental health, and it's not okay.